Hi everyone, I am Sneha, co-founder and CEO DevCompass, and I am back with another video. Absolutely thrilled, no drop in energy, and I hope you are maintaining the same level of energy that you had at the start of the course and you're enjoying it completely, having fun, learning. I know this has not been easy, but just a few more videos, a few more walkthroughs, and you will be so proud of yourself. Okay, so this video is going to be about what the coordinator cannot see, another failure pattern, and a lot about multi-agent reliability. Some of it sounds familiar, because in stage 3 we introduced silent failure and cascade failure, the two ways that these multi-agent pipelines break. That video covered the archetypes. This video is about the specific failure mode that appears in the production log 3 months in. Not abstract archetypes, but the real patterns. There are 3 of them. The coordinator receives a sub-agent result and treats it as complete when it's partial. The coordinator receives a timeout error and doesn't know what it means, so it hallucinates a response as though the sub-agent had succeeded. And third is 2 sub-agents return conflicting information, same customer ID, different account status, and the coordinator picks one without telling one that it picked. Each of this has a specific fix, but all 3 share the same root cause, because the coordinator is making decisions based on information it doesn't fully have, and it's not surfacing what it doesn't know. And we have discussed it before that even though these are all connected, there is a context isolation in between. So you have to explicitly pass that information. In case you're not able to recall the diagram or the context of it, please go back to that entire stage 3 section and you will find the video around context isolation and understand what I am actually talking about. So let's get started. Okay, so 3 failure modes. First, partial result treated as complete. The sub-agent searched the 2 data sources, one returned results, one timed out before returning. The sub-agent returned what it had, the first source's results, and the coordinator synthesized a response as though all sources had been searched. The customer gets an answer. The answer is based on incomplete data. Nobody knows, no error message, no flag, a complete silent failure. The second type is hallucination on timeout, and it is the most dangerous. The sub-agent called timeout completely returned nothing or returned an error. The coordinator received the timeout, and rather than acknowledging the gap, it generated a response anyway. Strange, right? It filled in what the sub-agent would probably have said, based on its own knowledge, its own prior context, not the actual data. And this is the most dangerous failure mode because the output looks very confident and specific, but in reality it isn't. The third failure is conflict silently resolved. 2 sub-agents ran in parallel. Sub-agent 1 returned account status active. Sub-agent 2 returned account status suspended. The coordinator received both results, found a conflict, and picked one. Probably the more recent call, or the first one alphabetically, or whichever one came back first. It didn't flag the conflict. The customer's account status in the response is either wrong or uncertain, and the coordinator has just picked one based on whatever, like I mentioned, whichever one came back first or the recent call. So the response is either wrong or uncertain, and nobody knows. So 3 cases where the coordinator produced confident output based on information it doesn't fully have, and you won't really get to know the failure until and unless you check for results. So now that we know the failures, we will definitely look at the fixes. The fix for all three failure modes follows the same structure, which is coverage annotation. The coordinator doesn't pretend that it has complete information. It just surfaces what it has and what it doesn't have, and what is flagged as uncertain. So let's look at the pipeline diagram. The flow on the left shows a broken pipeline. Coordinator sends tasks, sub-agents run, some succeed, some time out, one returns a conflict. Results flow back to the coordinator. The coordinator synthesizes, produces a single confident response. The customer receives it, none of the gaps are visible, so the conflict is entirely hidden. But on the right is the fixed pipeline. Same tasks are sent, same mix of results, success, timeout, conflict for each of these subagents. But now each of these results comes back with a very structured wrapper. So it says success, status, complete, data, ... timeout, and then it gives information that status has timeout, source is order DB, reason is that it has exceeded 5 seconds. So it is all about the structured information. So the coordinator now has structured information about the quality of each result. It synthesizes accordingly. For timeouts, it acknowledges the gap in the response. I was unable to retrieve your full order history at this time. For conflicts, it flags the conflict rather than resolving it silently on its own. Your account status shows inconsistent information. A human agent will review them, and for complete results, it just synthesizes normally as it should. So the customer gets a response that reflects reality, not the confident but wrong response, the accurate response. Okay. Now, the implementation of this has two parts. First, the timeout parameter and the structured error response for each sub-agent. Let's look at the code on the screen. The top of the card is the task tool call with the timeout parameter, max tokens to sample, and the timeout milliseconds parameter. In the stage 3 task tool video, if you can recall, you saw the basic pattern. Send task, receive result. Here we are adding two things. The timeout milliseconds parameter sets a hard limit. If the sub-agent does not respond within this window, the coordinator will receive a timeout rather than waiting forever. 5 seconds for a database lookup is reasonable. 30 seconds for a complex search is reasonable. So match the timeout to the expected operation. This second part is the structured error response. When the sub-agent catches a timeout or an error, it does not return null, and it doesn't return an unstructured message. It returns a very structured coverage annotation that has status, source, reason, and a partial data field. Whatever was retrieved before the failure, this is the structured error response pattern from stage 2, video number 2, that is applied in the multi-agent context. The category is timeout. The retriable flag is true. The data field contains whatever partial results were available. So the coordinator reads the status field. If it is complete, it will synthesize normally. If timeout, acknowledge the gap. If conflict, surface it. So the coordinator's system prompt includes very, very explicit instructions for each case. Now, this was it. We talked about 3 failure modes: partial result, hallucination on timeout, silent conflict. The fix was coverage annotations, structured wrappers on every sub-agent result, and timeout milliseconds parameter plus a structured error response. Both is required for the coordinator to give and acknowledge the right result to the customer. So coverage annotations and timeout handling protect the coordinator's synthesis step. The next failure mode which we are going to talk about is a little different. It's it is not something that happens during a pipeline run, but about what happens when a pipeline run is very, very long. Like extended agentic sessions that span many steps, many tool calls, a large code base, the context has failed, the agent loses track of where it is, or it crashes halfway through and there is no way to resume. So the next video is about the two tools that will fix this: Scratchpad files and Compact. So I will see you in the next one. Till then, you figure out the errors, how to ensure that your coordinator sees everything that it requires and does not hallucinate or takes decision on whatever information it has. Please go through the walkthroughs, attempt questions. If you are stuck, we are always there for you to help you out. I will see you in the next one.